Hi again everybody, it's Michael Fox from the Little Metal Dog Show here at the UK Games Expo 2011 live from Birmingham, and I'm here with Paul Grogan from Czech Games Edition, makers of awesome games like Galaxy Trucker, Space Alert, Dungeon Lords, millions of other awesome things, and we're talking about two forthcoming releases from CGE, not out yet, but we're going to get a bit of a heads up on them. So Paul, we've got Last Will, and we've got Dungeon Petz.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Last Will
Last
first.
Will is a new game by the guy who brought us League of Six, Shipyard and 20th Century last year.
Okay, cool.
Like his other games, this one's completely different.
Nice.
What I like about his games so far is that they've all been different. This one is primarily a card-driven game. Playtime is 30 to 40 minutes once you know what you're doing.
Okay.
Cool. The theme of the game is, if anybody's seen the film Brewster's Millions back from the 80s, it's the late 19th century in England. We're all nephews of a rich uncle. The uncle's died. Hooray!
Awesome.
And he's got this fortune, and we've each got a small pot of money.
Right.
We've got to prove that we can spend that money as quick as possible.
Okay, interesting.
The first player to run out of money wins the game. If
Right.
the game ends before anybody's run out of money, then it's whoever's got the least money at the end of the game that wins.
Okay, so I take it in the game, it's the complete opposite of real life.
Exactly.
Money is very, very easy to come by in this one.
You start with a certain amount of money, which is variable, and you've got to try and get rid of it by as quick as you can.
Cool. So how does it work then? What's the
Well,
the idea?
there are up to 7 rounds in the game, so you have a turn tracker to mark that, and each round is divided into a number of phases. The first phase is really easy. You set the board up.
Right.
So we will deal certain cards to certain places depending on which round we're in the game. The property cards, for example, the game starts off with properties coming into the game,
Right.
but in later rounds we deal different cards to these spaces.
Okay.
Okay, so we deal...
It's all marked up on the board to say...
Yeah, it tells you what's there. So that's phase 1 we've set up. Phase 2, each player gets to place their large piece, which is an advisor, into one of these spaces here. And this space contains how many cards they get to draw, and they can draw from any of the piles except the special.
Right.
How many messengers they're going to get to place in the next worker placement part of the game.
Okay.
And then how many actions they get.
Right.
But more importantly, where they place their piece determines the turn order for the next part of the game.
Okay.
So with the player going here, this space is weaker, but they will get to place first.
Right.
So that's that phase done, really quick. You place your worker, you place your advisor, draw cards. The next thing that you do is you place these messengers. It's either 1 or 2, depending on which space you went on. And the messengers are placed on any of these circular spaces on the board. Remember, this is a complete prototype, so even though there is artwork here, this is just
This isn't what it's going to look like at the end.
Totally temporary. So in turn order, you will place your piece and pick your card. Okay, and that goes into your hand. The next phase of the game is the actions phase of the game, which once players have got used to the game and nobody cheats, everybody can play simultaneously.
Right.
Okay, because in the action part of the game, you can't interact with the other players.
Okay.
And what you do is each player has their player board, and depending on the cards, the black ones are played onto the player board, the white ones are days out, okay, or experiences. It's the 19th century equivalent of going on a bungee jump for the weekend.
Okay. Excitement.
You may go for a meal to a fancy restaurant, loses you money. You may go on a boat trip, loses you money. These cards are all slightly different. Some of them cost more than 1 action to play, but are therefore worth more.
Okay.
Okay. So the white cards, you play them as an action, and they go. The black cards, there's a whole variety of different cards, and certain cards combo well with other cards. And you play these onto your display. When they're on your display, you may use them each round. So you slide it down rather than doing that. And it's another way of losing money.
Right.
Some of the black cards are these property cards. And properties is a key part of the game because buying and selling properties is a great way of losing money. You are able to influence the market prices, which start a random set out, but you may go on here to fiddle around with the market prices.
Right.
You want to buy a property when the price is high. You want to pay more than the market value, and then you want to let it depreciate. So if you don't use the building, it deteriorates over time.
Right.
And then you want to meddle with the market prices again, and you want to sell it when the price is low.
So these are like modifiers.
Modifiers to the base price here.
Mess up your game. Okay, right.
So this card here, you would want to buy it now, so it would cost you 18. You leave it a few turns possibly to deteriorate, swap the market prices around, and now all of a sudden you sell it for 6.
That's it. Okay, cool.
So as I say, the idea of the game is to lose as much money as you can. It's a card-driven game. There are lots of different combos available. So once you've played it a few times, you'll know what you're doing. You'll know which card piles you want to draw from in order to try and build up the combos.
Awesome. So when is this one due out?
It will be out for Essen. Traditionally, CGE get the games out for Essen.
Right.
So although the rulebook might be finished a week before, the first time it will be available is for Essen.
Cool. And that's going to be like a UK English language as well?
There will be English language and Czech and German and all different languages available.
Awesome.
So
I love the idea of, like, you know, it's almost like the grown-up enhanced version of Go for Broke.
Yes. Yes, somebody told me about that last night, and I went and they said, "Did you ever play Go for Broke?" And I went, "Oh yeah, that reminds me now."
Excellent. So that's pretty cool. I'm really interested.
Okay. Yeah.